So Alex Becker is extremely bullish. Well, extremely might be an overstatement. I'm actually going to talk about that in a second, but he's buying more crypto and thinks that everybody else should too. I personally agree. Sometimes I disagree with Becca. In fact, I think people should be buying more memes than utility coins, which is one area where we don't see 100% eye to eye, but following Becca's calls in the past have led me to very awesome places. So let's have a look at what he's currently buying with this dip and a project he's reaching out to, because he's buying more big caps, but he's reaching out to a new project that he hasn't worked with yet on Twitter of a lower cap, currently a lower cap, should we say. It wasn't a lower cap at one point, AI token. And so we're going to talk about that as well. So let's get into some hope though, because to be honest, there's probably more hope than pessimism if you know the market cycles. And let's have a look at Coinvo. We talked about this in the video 2 days ago. Altcoin seasons have always started in February, and this cycle will be no different. You can see this is Feb 2017, that's when we went parabolic. This is Feb 2021, that's when we went parabolic, and you can see sharp pullbacks before each of those parabolas. And then here is our pullback right here, and we're currently 5 days into Feb. It's predicted to also go parabolic if history repeats itself, even though we're going to get some shakeouts. Maybe I'll talk about that in the first place. This is the banana zone that Raoul Pal talks about very often. Seems like the banana zone wasn't such a stupid idea. Plenty more to come over time, with plenty of sharp corrections along the way too. It comes with every banana zone. Look, even as we're going parabolic, you get these huge pullbacks. A little bit of a pullback there. That's not so huge, but this is a big pullback there. You're going to get the pullbacks, the volatility. That's why, if there was no volatility, if there's no pullbacks, everyone would just put their money in. It's going to not be as profitable for you. But the pullbacks are why we can print those 10, 20, 50, 100 X's, is because everybody else gets shaken out. Crypto Rover says retail is almost completely out. These are the people who are getting shaken out. Retail. Large investors are buying more. I've shown this graph before too. Have a look. This is retail selling their crypto and the dip. And in the pink is the large investors, the big brains, it's the smartest of monies buying more. Which side of the fence are you in? You need to figure that out, because we've seen a sharp pullback. At least it doesn't look as sharp when you put it in a 10-year graph like this one, but there has been a sharp pullback here in altcoins. In the orange here is Bitcoin's price. You can see this is the Bitcoin dominance. They have 60% of the altcoin market going up. The blue is Ethereum, which has really been bleeding, and Becker is extremely bullish on Ethereum and Ethereum utility tokens. So he thinks this is going to jump straight back up. And this is the others, everything that's outside those top two tokens. You can see they've had a pullback as they've given market share back to Bitcoin. Because if you look at the Bitcoin price, it's still very close to 100 grand, which is hilarious to think that this is like, a big pullback. But what's been suffering are the altcoins. But we've shown this graph a few times too. We're in the yellow phase, the 4th year. And you can see within every 4th year, there are strong pullbacks, yes, just like we're experiencing right now. But the 4th year has historically been the highest performing year. You can see this is 2,300%, where the 3rd year, which was last year, 120%. We got 240% last year, and it's expected that we're going to get more than that over the year. But also, I'll put in here before we get into Becca stuff, the year is long, guys. This is 12 months. If we don't get pullbacks and we're just going up, like, in my opinion, Bitcoin's going to get to maybe $180,000 to $270,000, somewhere in there in this year. But if it was there overnight, there's no more liquidity, there's no more fun. It can only go down. And so you need these sharp pullbacks to cool off the market, get people less excited, and shake a lot of people out so that you can have an elongated and way longer bull run than it all compressed into 1 week where everyone becomes a millionaire and then round trips it because you've never had a pullback before. These pullbacks help you take profit. Now, Becker is investing. He says he's moving a lot of money, which I'm assuming for Becker is millions of dollars, since he's a very well-off $140 million company he sold at one point. So I'm assuming he's moving mils, if not tens of mils, into crypto, and he's moving him into the less volatile end of the crypto whip, the higher market cap, the layer ones, and the blue chips of a lot of different categories like RWA and AI, which he believes, the utility altcoin, specifically on ETH, he's believing in, he thinks are going to do very, very well. But as he says in his video, and you can go watch him talk about it, or you can watch me rehash it in an Australian accent if you prefer, something like BNB, which you can see how much this went up. It went up to $661 at its peak. But before that hump, if you delete that from the graph, you can see it was not smooth sailing before it went parabolic. You can see down here is at $2. Remember, it went to $660. So insane returns. This is where someone like Luke Belmar was getting into BNB and Pancake Swap and making absolute killing. But you can see this looked like a massive run up. If you bought it down here at $1.17, ran up to $20, you're like, oh, you've made it. You've done it. Well done. You've absolutely crushed. You've retired your bloodline. Great, great, great. But, you know, this is in a period of years that you just bled out for a whole nother year. And then you back down to a quarter of the money that you had because you didn't perfectly time the top. But that's fine, because if you're patient and you know the narrative is coming and you're betting on the right narrative, you can see you've got double what you've got there. And so $20, now you're up to $40. But you just had to be patient. You just had to ride these dips along the way. And if we keep moving this along, you can see there was more rises and more dips until you had the real massive, awesome push up to $333. And then even then, you lost 30% of your money basically in a week, and then it rode up again. You need to be able to ride these highs and lows. Now, how do you know when the last high is there? Well, you don't. And that's why you want a dollar cost average on the way out. I mean, you can see the dip we had recently went from its all-time high back down to $570. It's nothing compared to some of these other crazy dips that the veterans of the market have been through. Before I talk about which tokens Becca bought, he put them in his video, plus the one he's reaching out to on Twitter, I wanted to mention one personal takeaway that I got from this. And I put this in the video 2 days ago while the bottom was falling out of the market. For the first time ever, I've seen people like Alex Becker not be hyper bullish. He says right here in this quote, these are the subtitles right here, he would say there's a 65% chance, close to a coin flip, close to a 50-50, that we go absolutely parabolic like BNB. And the fact that this is the first time he's saying it, and at least the first time I've heard him say it, a lot of times he's like, yeah, everyone's going to lose their money, sure. But at least it was given the air of, we haven't had the banana zone run up yet. And all the graphs point to the exact same part. But the fact that he's saying it's probably a coin flip if we'll get it. I saw Miles Deutscher, big fan of Miles Deutscher too, but he said in one of his videos, like, if that was the top. And I've never heard him really acknowledge if that was the top. But the fact that these influencers are finally verbalizing that could have been the top makes me think that is the shakeout. You need to get the uncertainty into people's souls before we can go absolutely parabolic. So honestly, that makes me more bullish that he's actually less bullish. Funny enough, you have to make up your own decision from that. The other thing he said in his video, which I thought was very interesting, PopCat down from $2 billion to $250 million market cap. It's lost $1.8 billion US dollars of liquidity, of value in their market cap. Becca's like, where do you think that's going to go? Do you think they're going to pull it out of PopCat and they're going to go invest it into something like the S&P 500? No. His theory is it's going to be rolled into utility altcoins on ETH, real-world assets, and AI tokens. But I think it's also going to get put into other meme coins. That liquidity is not leaving meme coins to go into the S&P 500. I thought it was a brilliant point by Becca. What's Becca buying? Well, he bought Ondo at a $13 billion fully diluted market cap, which is an RWA play, one of the big chips, the biggest chip probably in the market there. And BitTensor, Tau, at a $7 billion market cap. You can see it's had a strong pullback from $700, almost down to 50% from there. He's been loading up his bag on that. However, a lower market cap that he's recently gone back to, because during the bull market, things go nuts. And Becker's taking on lots of partnerships and putting them in his videos. And anytime he mentions them, it goes parabolic. When the market cools off, which it has recently, and we are seeing some tokens get some really good kicks, Becca turns back to almost like that bear market building and reaching out and networking, where he talked to Grafane on Twitter on February 4th, down here at 11:37 p.m. and said, hey, had some questions about the project before my next AI video. If someone on the team could message. This is how he starts getting his partnerships and sourcing them, and then partnering with them and helping them market and getting a bag for helping promote them on his socials to other people who want to invest in the product. But this is something we haven't actually seen from Becca in a while. One, interesting, he's reaching out to Grafane, which was a larger cap, but it has obviously dropped off pretty strongly since the big pullback. And two, to see that he is still overall bullish on this market, overall bullish on 2025, and starting to network and partner with new projects.